Hello and welcome. This is the Onside Kick, an NFL podcast brought to you by Fox Sports Australia. I'm your host, Chris Janssen, and with me is Ted Smith.
Hello, Chris.
How you doing?
Good, mate.
That's good. And how are you, Hugo?
Yeah, not bad. Thanks for having me, boys. Second week in a row.
Hey, yeah, you got the call up
Got
again.
the call up, yeah. We'll see if I exceed expectation this time. So.
We were thinking about putting you back to the practice roster, but we've decided to keep you on the active one just for this week.
Yeah, a few injuries this week helped, so.
Well, we do need some wins on the board, so.
Yeah. Call me the Mike White of this panel, boys. So.
Oh, Mike Whitebread.
Well, we are going to get into that. That is one of our games we're going to feature this week. The Jets and the Bengals. What a thriller. Saints and Bucks we'll talk about, and the Chargers and Patriots. As always, we'll bring you a wrap of the best Aussie action, which I know everyone loves hearing about how our punters did. Hey, and a few defensive and offensive players as well. And we'll get into a few previews coming up for Week 9. It is a packed show. There are a few little points as well that we must cover that were big headlines this week.
Little points. Go on. I'll see where he goes from here.
Oh, we'll get into
What
them.
little point are you starting with, mate?
I'll sneak those up onto you. Let's start with the biggest little point of them all, which we touched on already, which is the pure magic that was Mike F.
Magic
White.
Mike White.
Yes.
Definitely not a little point. This was a huge win. Considering last week we're talking about the Bengals being these new contenders in the AFC. The Jets have now beaten the 5-3 Bengals and the 6-2 Tennessee Titans. So that is what the Jets are on offer this year. They are going to beat the big teams and lose to the small teams. And I'm all for it, to be honest. But the big story was Mike White. And we thought we were putting up the Mike White flag this week. But we weren't. 405 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was Magic Mike White Lightning, they're calling him on Twitter, which is great. But it's a team performance, really. Elijah Moore played well. Ty Johnson played well. And, of course, Michael Carter looks unbelievable.
Rookie, right?
Yeah, Michael Carter's a rookie. He was taken in the draft last year. It's showing there is something in this Jet squad. And now the big question comes, though, when Zach Wilson returns. Mike White will play this week against the Colts. There's no doubt about that.
Short turnaround.
Turnaround, yeah, he'll be playing. The big question is, do they keep playing Mike White if he plays well again? Or do they stick with Zach Wilson, who they took second overall in the draft? And Ted, keen to get your thoughts on this.
Well, until he drops a fart, right? Like, if he keeps winning, you keep starting him. It's the Jets. I mean, just to put it into perspective, I heard this stat somewhere along the line. Since 1950, the second QB to throw for 400 yards in his first outing.
Do you know who the first one was?
Yes.
No, I don't, and I want to know
Cam
so
Newton.
bad.
Cam Newton.
Ooh.
His first game, yeah. And he was a first overall pick. It was Mike White.
But they were worried about Cam Newton's arm coming into the league,
absolutely,
right?
yeah.
Then
He
throws
proved
for
them wrong,
400. Yeah. And also the first, all NFL fans would have heard this one by now, but he's the first Jets quarterback to throw for 400 yards since the year 2000, which is quite a while ago.
That's all good.
They've just
few
put,
first round pick quarterbacks in the mix since 2000.
yeah, but mostly letdowns out of those QBs. Nothing like this though.
All letdowns, really.
Common wisdom says that they've put too much of an investment into Mormon Mahomes, into young Wilson. So he's still the sports bet favourite to be the QB at the end of the season if he is fit. But like Coach Sala said after the game, basically he said, you just don't know. He was put on the spot, asked about a potential quarterback controversy, and he was like, you never know. So if it's easy. If David Whitebread keeps on winning game after game, or at least
Mike Whitebread.
Mike Whitebread.
How many Mike White nicknames can we get through? It's so good, isn't it? Magic Mike, White Lightning, everything. Yeah.
But at the very least, he's made this interesting one. Like, the Jets weren't interested when Zach Wilson was playing. So when he went out, it's just like, well, rip it up.
Yeah.
What are the Jets going to do? So to turn that narrative around with one game, very impressive by the Jets and their fresh QB.
That's true.
I think from my perspective, there are two important things to consider for this, and two sort of opposite sides to this story. One side is it's really worrying that Mike White can come in for a game and look so much more impressive in a single game against a good opposition than Wilson has in all of his other games combined. The other side of that is Mike White looks impressive because there's no scouting report on him. No one knows who this guy is. You know, this was a total unknown question mark coming into the game. The defense a little bit confused that it turns out he can actually throw the ball and, get around. He's relatively mobile on his feet as well.
Yeah.
It looked impressive.
Just on that second point, I was listening to a podcast this morning with Chuck Pagano, and he was saying that same thing. One of his biggest fears was knocking the starting quarterback out of the game, because what happens is the second string quarterback comes in and you haven't done any work on him. So he can come in and completely impress. Just quickly as well, Zach Wilson, I wouldn't say, it's so hard. He's in the hardest quarterback situation, in my opinion, harder than Trevor Lawrence. I know you probably might disagree with that.
No, because he's got history on his side, and the history says Jets quarterbacks fail.
Yeah, that's the thing. And so he's come in, and his only real receiving target is Corey Davis, who's now injured. And you've got Elijah Moore, who's just starting the league and everything as well. You've got Jamison Crowder, who's, so-so. Don't have a tight end, really, and then you've got really young running backs and Ty Johnson and Michael Carter. So he's been he got a tough situation there. So Zach Wilson has been too bad. He had that one bad game against the Patriots. My big thing going forward is the Jets aren't going to make the playoffs. I think we can all agree with that.
Oh, if they win this week, they'll dangle a carrot. They'll
no
dangle
way.
a carrot. They'll be 3-5, a game out of the wild card.
Do you want to start Mike White and get those 2-3 extra wins? Or do you give see what Zach Wilson has, get your draft picks next year? We've already got the Seattle pick as well, so we're going to have 2 fairly high draft picks.
But they're both untested quarterbacks. It's not like they're putting Joe Flacco in there instead of Mike White.
I prefer to gamble on the rookie, though.
The other person who you mentioned who does deserve a little topic from us as well was Michael Carter. I hadn't seen much of him so far this year. 172 all-purpose yards, a touchdown, pretty much split it between the ground and the air. He was the best receiver and the best rusher for the Jets.
Yeah.
You said you didn't have any receivers. Turns out Michael
Carter's leading
your rookie running back was the best.
He is a player. He is going to be really good. And the best thing about it is the Jets have a young offensive line, so he is going to get some rushing lanes going forward.
Against the Bengals defense that had been one of the most surprising units in terms of improvement this season as well. So they beat a team that everyone going into Week 8 considered at very least good.
Another team which everyone considers good was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this is now turning into a bit of a pattern. Brady and the Bucs had been looking relatively impressive. And then they just started to sort of lose a few and get caught up in a few moments here and there. And they came into a game against the Saints. And the Saints last year absolutely pounded them. This year, a little bit closer, but the Saints defense just looked like they had all of the answers for that Tampa Bay offense.
Matchups make fights. And especially for Tom Brady, there's just some matchups that irk him more than others. It's just that he is the quarterback that gets irked the least out of any other QB in NFL history. But Sean Payton and this defense, it wasn't Drew Brees that beat Tom Brady last year. It was Sean Payton's offensive schemes and the overall talent on the defensive end of the New Orleans Saints. You go back to the undefeated regular season of Tom Brady when they lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl. Round 17 or round 16 of the regular season, the Giants actually played the Patriots. And the Giants almost beat the Patriots in that game. That's something people tend to forget. This just mirrors that to me. It's like, yes, there are a bunch of teams that will be able to beat the Saints, but for whatever reason, the reason is the defense. They just match up and they're in his head. That bad matchup for Tom Brady is Sean Payton's New Orleans Saints. And I went back and watched the 2 games that they lost last year, just highlights, not a tape dog. And the interception that Tom Brady has thrown against the Saints, they're the worst in his career. Yeah. Some of them he misses by a lot. It is strange.
He had that game on Sunday Night Football where I think he threw 3 interceptions or something. Antonio Brown's first game. But let's not forget as well that the Bucs did beat the Saints in the playoffs last year.
Yes.
But
yes.
But definitely there is a bogey side for him. 3 losses in the past 4 games. So,
and 3 regular season losses in a row. The only person to do that against him was Peyton Manning at the Denver Broncos when Brady was playing at the Pats. So,
wow.
Yeah, not a bad record.
Switching tact a bit, but same game. Jameis Winston's out, ACL injury. Who's the starting quarterback at the Saints? You keeping Simeon, or you going to go Taysom Hill, or do you bring in someone new that talks about Phillip Rivers maybe?
I think they confirmed that at least for this game they would go ahead with Simeon.
You just got to win, a comeback win.
Yeah, exactly. And he played well, and I think they'd already I think they made that decision when they picked Jameis over Taysom, in my opinion. I
That
think
we
they
want a quarterback.
Yeah, and I think that's fair because I think it's also from the perspective that Taysom brings so much in any of the other position. If he lines up at tight end or running back or wide receiver, he's got something to offer there. Whereas at quarterback, it can make it a little bit, even though I get that it's two-dimensional, it makes it kind of one-dimensional in that you know what Taysom offers in that dual threat. Whereas if you have Taysom out on the edge as an option and you've got Simeon in there, then I think that's what they'll go forward.
And Simeon he had some moments at Denver, a pretty successful college career at Northwestern. He's a proper quarterback where, to add on to what you're saying, you get the most utility out of Taysom Hill when you're using him as a Swiss Army knife, when you don't know where he's going to pop up on that Saints offense. But if you know he's going to pop up as quarterback, under center every snap, you kind of chill about it.
You can build the plan around that.
You saw what he did at the back end of last season when he was given a couple of starts and he sucked.
Yep.
Did he suck? I don't think he sucked.
He
did pretty well.
He was good in that game where Drew Brees got hurt and he came in as a backup. He got a couple of wins. But in terms of just throwing the ball, it was a struggle.
There's
it was
one
a
more
struggle
part
for
we're
that
not
offense.
considering as well, and this just happened this morning as well. Michael Thomas is confirmed out for the season now.
Yeah, I cut him from the fantasy team.
Yeah, cut him from the fantasy team. A few people who bid for him in the auction drafts are really head on their hands.
I'm in an auction draft. Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
So that's the next thing as well. So they've got Marquez Callaway, they've got Traquan Smith.
Not enough.
That's what I'm saying. Do you bring in Taysom Hill? And then you've got basically that dual threat quarterback who at any given time you could be handing off to Alvin Kamara, you could be rushing, you could be throwing, like a Lamar Jackson type. Not saying Taysom Hill's on the same level as Lamar Jackson, but he is that dual threat quarterback.
Another game we were very keen on was the Chargers and the Patriots. The Patriots, Mac Jones, starting to roll, got the 27-24 win. Yes, Teddy, we talked about it last week, and you were pretty high on the Patriots to maybe sneak through with this one. They did. I've got the first thing I want to mention, which I just thought was incredible, was we thought it was a Herbert versus Jones matchup. They both completed 18 of 35 passes. Herbert had 223 yards. Jones had 218. They both had the same amount of touchdowns and interceptions. For Herbert, it was 2 and 2. For Mac, it was 0 and 0.
These two QBs could face off quite a few times in the future. I think that's why this game could have importance, not just for this season, but going into the future, because I think like the performance levels between Herbert when he plays teams in the NFL compared to when he plays Belichick, it's only a small sample size, but those two games are two of the worst games he's played in the NFL. And Bill Belichick is someone you don't want to have any real estate inside your head. I'm not surprised by anything that happened because we basically saw the blueprint from it last year when the Pats waxed Herbert and the Chargers. I know it's a new coach and staff, but they couldn't get it done. Question marks on the Chargers now. They haven't won in quite a while because they had a loss, a bye, and a loss. And the narrative has completely changed on Justin Herbert and the Chargers. They were everyone's Cinderella story, everyone's darling only a month ago. Now they've had a couple of bad L's. One got absolutely waxed by the Ravens and then lose to a 500 team in the New England Patriots. But I've also got to give Mac Jones his props. I think now he's really firming in the debate for Rookie of the Year, and no one really would have saw that coming.
Below Jamar Chase, probably. Jamar Chase has probably got it.
It's hard for a non-quarterback to win those big awards, though.
I know,
yeah.
but what I love about
Justin Jefferson didn't win it last year, mate.
Yeah, I know. Carry on with Mac Jones though. What he is that Tom Brady reincarnated in New England, because he does the simple things so well. Damian Harris is getting a lot of work in the backfield, but Mac Jones, he's not going to let you down.
Yeah. And
while he might not be the Rookie of the Year, he could be the best rookie quarterback of this class.
Which means he'll be Rookie of the Year because Justin Herbert won it last year. He only won
Oh yeah, that's right. Justin Herbert. Yeah.
That makes sense. Where are we on the Patriots, right? They seem to be the perfect example of a 500 team. At the start of the year, when everything was looking rosy for the Dolphins, I infamously said that the Dolphins would be far and away a better team than the Patriots. That's come a long way now. I'm still not prepared to say that the Patriots are a great team. I think they're an average to 500 team, but given the new format, 17-week year, and how weak in comparison the AFC the AFC East is now. They're a chance of sneaking into a wild card spot.
It's not even a sneak. They're armpit deep into this wild card race, brother. Like there's more playoff spots as well.
Yeah.
Like I think half the comp makes the playoffs these days. So
Yeah.
you've got what? 2 teams will come out of the AFC West. That's the big one. 3 teams might come out of there, depending on what the Chiefs do. But I think the Chargers will. Raiders, next couple of weeks are interesting for the Raiders because this is usually where they flop. But yeah, if they're in the chat for a wild card berth in the latter part of the season, who's your money on? It's Bill Belichick.
Sure.
And Mac Jones, you've got a QB that you expect to improve as the season goes on for the next 2 or 3 seasons at least, to make substantial improvements because not just because he's a rookie QB, but because who he is and who he's shown us to be. That was a mouthful. He someone that's poised under pressure, gets the job done and just throws it to open receivers consistently. If he does show improvement, I don't see any reason why the Patriots by weeks 15, 16 are one of the favourites to get a wild card.
Yeah, you have to think that last wild card spot is probably between Patriots, Steelers, Raiders, although tough with a few things that happened recently, and the Colts.
Yeah.
And then, so it's going to be interesting. I am including, by the way, the Chiefs will get a wild card spot. I know we're going to get in that later, but that's
Broncos in terms of record, they're there or thereabouts. But I expect
you
them
look
to
at
call
the
away.
Broncos and think they make the playoffs.
They just traded their soul, mate.
Yeah, I know. Come on, that's not their year. It's not their year.
That's well put. It is not the Broncos year.
Yeah, Browns is the other one, by the way. Browns will get the wild card in the North, and then with Ravens win that division.
Mate, they're coming last in their division at the moment, but yeah.
Don't see the Bengals
My only
coming.
thing with the Patriots is the defense is solid. Can't fault Belichick, obviously. Harris, I agree, is a start at running back. Jones
strength to strength too.
But the problem for me is that receiving core. That is
there's
a who's
nothing
who of no names.
I like Jacoby Myers.
You say this every time.
I like him. I like Jacoby Myers.
Too, yeah.
I like him too. It doesn't make him a great
He
receiver.
just doesn't
in
score
the NFL.
touchdowns.
They made a conscious choice at the start of the year to build up their tight ends. So Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry.
Yeah.
And they're just going to be that team, run first team. If we have to find someone, it's going to be Nelson Aguilar, Jacoby Myers, or one of the tight ends will get out.
And that's the other one. Aguilar was good last year.
Yeah. Aguilar was good last year.
Surprised everyone. mate.
Surprised everyone, yeah.
Good.
Everyone forgets he's Super Bowl winner.
Yeah.
In
Philly, you damn right he is.
Yeah.
the one relative positive, despite the 2 interceptions for Herbert, I would say that they were both based off receiver errors.
Well, definitely one of them wasn't his fault, for sure.
One of them, I think, was a tipped ball, and one of them was, who was it? Jared Cook out on the edge, literally didn't turn his head to bother to catch the ball, and straight in the breadbasket.
Bit of an AJ Green sitch.
Exactly. Oh.
What about that?
Jeez.
Mate.
Anyway.
Let's also talk about a good amount of chat about the Patriots receivers who no one knows, but some names that everyone does know are our lovely Aussie punters, who had some incredible stat lines this week. And my first, who I'm going to lead with, my favourite, is Mitch Wishnowsky. In a 33-22 win for the 49ers, he had 0 punts. He sat on the sideline the whole damn game. He didn't do a damn thing. He might have actually, in fact, he definitely would have held a few kicks, placed them correctly.
Yeah.
Do you reckon at some stage throughout that game he did the maths on how much he was going to make that day to not punt?
Yeah.
It'd be. I doubt it'd be 6 figures, but it's probably like 70, 80 grand or something.
Punt, I think they're normally on around 1 to 2 mil US.
Yeah. So 80 times 17 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe even
He didn't do anything, dude. Don't feel too sorry for him.
He held some punts, and Joey Slide did miss, I think, 1 or 2.
Well, with the laces out, mate. Maybe it was Wishnowski's. Maybe he's not ready for the Australian of the week. Mailata played every snap again for Philly, who rolled Detroit 44-6.
In a strong running game.
Yeah, they ran the football. He'd be up there. Because, Boston Scott looked good.
We can't just
is
give
weird.
it to Mailata every week, though.
Oh,
because he's the only non-special teams player. Gotts is actually the other non-special teams player was a DNP, so that doesn't count. Michael Dixon, 5 punts up to his usual business, 3 of them inside 20. Classic, a win over the Jags.
Yeah, he won't be punting as much now that Russell Wilson's back, so they've got a bye this week, but next week he won't
You
be
say
punting as
that,
much.
but I'm pretty sure even with Russell Wilson, the Seahawks had the fewest amount of 4th down attempts and completions. They suck at them, so that's why they don't know. My point is, if there's an opportunity to kick, they're going to kick.
Yeah.
Because Pete Carroll's 100 years old and coaches accordingly.
Yeah.
In a similarly lazy vein, Aaron Sipsos only had 1 punt for 47 yards, which is an average of 47 yards.
Yeah, but that's because Malata played so well, which is why he's going to get Aussie of the Week.
Exactly. Okay. well,
Hugo's pushing for it.
hey, here it is. Australian of the week. You get it, Malata. Just for you. Cam Johnson, though, did have a big day. 7 punts, 364 yards of punting offense. 2 inside 20. They did lose.
I was going to say, good for him, bad for the team usually, if your punter has that many stats.
What do you get if you're Aussie of the Week? Is there some kind of...
Recognition. From the greatest podcast in Australia.
We've at least got to tweet something out, surely.
True.
Do we tweet? Do we have Twitter?
Yeah, we use Twitter at Fox.
Fox, yeah.
We at Fox have been known to tweet.
Okay. Cool.
Typically, we do get good feedback from people on Facebook and Instagram. So if you are one of the people that referred to us as what happens when you order Boogie Nights actors from Wish, we do find that funny. You know, you can come and lead with that sort of thing.
I think that our mustaches, those mother...
Oh, they're making fun of us again, dude.
I can't grow one, boys, so... Not going to get me there.
Let's move into week 9. All right, week 8 was very exciting, but week 9 has some very good-looking matchups as well. I'm going to have to lead with, which has got to be the showpiece of all of these, the Chiefs at home to the Packers. And the reason why this is probably such big news, the news of the morning which came out was Aaron Rodgers has potentially been telling little white lies about his vaccination history. I mean, he told the full truth about his immunisation history, and I believe him that he was probably immunised as a baby. He came out and this has all come back to in August. He was point blank asked if he'd been vaccinated, and he said, yes, I have been immunised. And now it's come out today that he had contracted COVID, which made a few people question what's the likelihood of him getting it if he'd been vaccinated. And now it's been confirmed that he's not vaccinated.
Yeah, he had some alternative immunisation treatment.
There's some niche shit going on here. So apparently the NFL knew exactly what was going on with Aaron Rodgers, even if we the people, even if we didn't. Yeah. And apparently I was like you, I was just like, did this dude tell everyone he'd had the jab and actually didn't? But Hugo was telling me before the show that he has been getting tested every day.
Yeah, so you got to get tested daily if you're unvaccinated. So he's been following all the protocols.
So of an unvaxxed person.
Of an unvaxxed person.
It was just the media who was under the impression that he was
Yeah, it's just the media. So because he'd said at that famous press conference when he came back, I've been immunised. Right. But it was some alternative thing.
Didn't say vaccinated, and now we know why.
We haven't heard from Aaron yet, but it's one of those things where, look, I don't think I'm being so political in saying this. Like, if you've got a whole team's hopes on your shoulders, you just get vaccinated, please.
Yeah,
Just
that's the weird thing. So I can't remember who brought it up. I'm sure a lot of people have now, but a lot of these athletes just like, mate, I'll die for my teammates.
Yeah,
I would put my life down. Like, I'll blood, sweat. Well, not a vaccine. You know what I mean? Like, are you willing to do anything for your teams? Like, yes, get a vaccine. No.
Yeah.
But there are other important things to get. Most important is that Aaron Rodgers will not play this weekend. He's in the COVID bubble, which means Jordan Love.
I'm actually so excited.
First start.
He's come on and had a few relief appearances, but man, I'm pumped just because that was the biggest draft pick last year. Everyone was like,
2 years ago.
What is happening?
This is the third year he's sitting on the bench.
No, second year. It was during COVID.
Was he a rookie last year?
Yeah, rookie last year.
Time suit, mate.
And
Corona has ruined.
But he's like, I was looking back, because you always wonder with all the uproar, you start looking at some of the Jordan Love highlights and everything. Yes, he didn't play at such a high level, didn't win a bowl game, etc.
Problems.
But he is dual threat, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes. And it's one of these things where, you know, Mike White kind of thing comes in, plays well, then Packers start thinking, "Ooh, we've got a guy next year." Plays badly, then Aaron Rodgers sits back at home.
Yeah,
pretty happy with
everything.
Wouldn't
this, given the whole before the season, and now the fact that the Packers are 7-1 and no one's talking about it
Yeah.
as much. But before the season, there was this whole thing about Rodgers and if his head was in and now he's pissed off that they'd brought Love in. Wouldn't it just be so funny if now the situation was that he had to sit on the bench a few weeks because of COVID, of all things, and Love come in and took his spot like totally
Shows
by the
he's
book.
guy.
Yeah.
Hey, mate, Tony Romo was the out-and-out starter
Yeah.
for in his last year in Dallas. Until a third-round QB got a start after a preseason injury.
Yeah.
A preseason injury, back injury, and the Cowboys never looked back. Well, look at Peyton Manning, dude. Peyton Manning, I know it's completely different, but the Colts were willing to let go of Peyton Manning because they saw something in someone else.
Yeah.
So if the Packers see something in someone else this weekend, it doesn't matter if Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers.
And the Broncos have now got quite a package to put together if they want to go
Yeah,
after someone like Rodgers.
Absolutely. the one I was thinking about as well was Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick coming in. That was probably because the 49ers were complete contenders that year. Alex Smith goes down injured.
Yeah.
Concussion, I think it was, and then
Yeah.
Kaepernick came swooping in. So
Yeah.
That's good dot connection by you as well. Broncos setting up for a Rodgers trade.
yeah.
We will get onto the Von Miller one in just a second, but before that, I want to talk a little bit about the Packers because they did. We've got all of this going on with the Rodgers, which has taken the limelight a little bit off the fact that they just beat the only team that was left that was undefeated in the Cardinals, and they looked really good in that
really
game.
good. And they had no receivers too. Alan Lazard out. Devonta Adams out.
MVS.
Yeah. MVS out as well. Yeah, good point.
Dude, it's been
Watching
a
that,
weird
yeah.
year for the Packers in that, one, their over-unders by Vegas was set at 10 at the start of the year. They're coming off back-to-back NFC championship games, and Aaron Rodgers has something to prove. They're 7-1 sitting atop the NFC. They haven't lit the world on fire in their wins. They haven't been great, right? Like they've done what they needed to do to win games.
I think that shows just kind of how confident they are.
Big time, mate. So, I think the Chiefs are lucky because I was feeling it in my bones this week. I was going to go Packers and give the Chiefs the start because I thought it was time for this team that has been underperforming but winning to have their biggest statement game of the year. So now Jordan Love gets the opportunity to make a completely different kind of statement in this game.
I'm going to say just because it's in Arrowhead.
Chiefs.
Yeah.
Chiefs
And-
don't look good right now, but yeah.
And the news of Rodgers, I think that just sort of pushes it over the line. First
Sorry, mate.
first start for Love. Of all of the defenses you would want to come in and play your first game against, it is probably the Chiefs. The only problem is that the other side of that is the offense coming back at you. Although
10
the
turnovers
Green Bay-
this year, that's the most out of any team in the NFL. Pat Mahomes has the most turnovers. And to build on what you were saying in regards to the Chiefs' defense, they're allowing 390 yards a game, which is massive, mate. Like it's the 29th.
that's Mike
in the
White
NFL.
numbers, baby.
Mike White. Yeah. I'm going
doesn't-
Packers. I'm going Packers.
It doesn't matter how good your offense is. Like they made the Giants look like a competitive football team on Monday, right? Like, I think it's set up perfectly for Jordan Love to hit the ground running in regards to his.
Won't
Green
that
Bay
be a
career.
great story if he comes in and throws for
Not for the
over
Chiefs
200
to go
yards?
4-5 with a
Yeah.
loss to Jordan Love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one worth considering is the Rams in Los Angeles taking on the Tennessee Titans. Two big stories for this one. One big addition and one big subtraction. The big addition for the Rams is they continue to say, hey, who wants draft picks anyway? May as well we've got a second and a third still. Let's get rid of these. But when you can do that to bring in someone like Von Miller, that defense at Los Angeles, easily the best defense in the league.
It's going to be crazy. So Jalen Ramsey in the secondary, Von Miller at linebacker, Aaron Donald on the line. Oh, it's going to be so hard to even get a point on them. And you've seen some of the lower level teams really struggle. We saw the Giants a couple of weeks ago, could not get anything going.
The Texans until the fourth quarter were up for a bagel.
Yeah, after but then they rested lots of the stars, the Rams. Yeah.
I love the Rams, but I stopped watching that just before halftime when it got to 24-0.
Yeah.
Von Miller isn't the player that won the Super Bowl MVP in Super Bowl 50, obviously. Time's a mofo. But he is only 31, 32 years old. He did have 4 or 5 sacks in the first 4 or 5 weeks of this season. Bad competition. Remember, Denver started 3-0 against the worst 3 teams in the NFL. But he's not going to get double-teamed while he's playing at the Rams. Not once.
Yeah. Who won that trade, by the way? Denver or the Rams?
Well, only one team has a chance to win the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
So I'd say the Rams. I do find it interesting that the Rams must have a garden just growing draft picks out the back, because I didn't even know we had a second and a third left for this upcoming draft. But I can't see how Denver won this trade unless these picks
go towards Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think that could be happening. They could be stockpiling their picks.
Yeah.
One more thing. Coming into week 9, the Rams already ranked number 1 in QB pressure. Now they add the player that has the most NFL sacks out of any active player in the NFL.
Former Super Bowl MVP.
And it's not just, as you said, and I tend to agree, he is getting a bit older and he doesn't have quite the same explosive power, but what he offers in vision and standing behind the ball and calling it out to the rest of the team,
Experience,
just another
reps.
old head. Another old head standing there, seen all these plays before.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're playing the Broncos this year, but when they do, I would love to see Von
Lo-
Miller
lovely-
standing back, calling the exact play before they come out.
Lovely bloke too.
Yeah.
Seems like
We saw James Harrison do that in his last season when he went to the Patriots and he played in the Super Bowl. Like it can help to have that experienced linebacker there.
Yep.
Just kind of.
And for a lot of those newer Rams players who haven't played in that Super Bowl loss, Miller can offer that experience for them going forward.
I think we probably should have touched on it when we were talking about the Chiefs. Did Melvin Ingram end up getting moved from the Steelers to the Chiefs to help out that Chiefs defense as well? Yeah, so that might be a bit of that in that game as well.
Yeah.
Just, dotting the I's, crossing the
Yeah,
T's,
Absolutely. No, that's a good point.
The other side of the Rams, I don't know, was there someone else?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. But I think you were leading into it, but Derrick Henry.
Yeah, the other side of the Rams.
We should probably talk about that.
The other side
The best
of the
player
Rams
in
and
football
Titans.
being out.
The Titans side of that is they're looking weak comparatively coming up against this Rams
Weak.
defense.
Titans, you look weak.
Because, well,
Strong. That's strong, Chris.
you took away where 50%, 60% of their touches go, which is Derrick Henry. What I will say about Derrick Henry, originally it was looking like it was going to be out for the rest of the season. But as always with Derrick Henry, he's slightly better than the average, and now it's been downgraded to 6 to 10 weeks. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Derrick Henry is training within 4, and he might play after 5 or 6, definitely. He's that type of player. He changes the script every year, does things we haven't seen. He'll be fine. Don't worry about Derrick, mate.
He is
Still wearing the
an
crown.
incredible athlete. So if there was some person who's going to do it, it'd be him.
On the Titans, it'll be, look, they signed Julio Jones. Now they really need him.
Yeah.
Now they really need him. I will say this. Derrick Henry in their last 2 games, Titans 2 games, they've won them both. He's only averaged about 3 yards rushing.
We only played half a game last game.
He's still got over 20 touches. Okay, so he was only averaging 3 yards a rush last 2 games. They've got Adrian Peterson, who I think could potentially average 3 yards a rush. It won't be impossible for the Tennessee Titans to win. It's just going to be a lot harder. They're lucky they had that win last week over the Colts. That helped create a bit of a buffer in the division. A really weak, meek, just a dreadful division of football teams. The Colts, their hopes have spiked to try and catch the Titans. So the Titans going forward, it'll be a really interesting game. What does Von Miller do to this defense? Not just in terms of how they look, but the vibe of that team, because now everyone's got them as their Super Bowl favourites. A lot of people do. And the Titans, will they look like a team that'll be able to hold on to that playoff spot in a really weak division? Given that their best player is out, it's time for Tannehill to stand up, Julio Jones to stand up. See, and we know Brown will. He's an excellent player.
AJ Brown, look to him to be the top receiver going forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he'll lead.
Maybe for the rest of the league.
Yeah,
maybe for the rest of the season. Yeah.
This is all well and good, but do either of you give Tennessee any chance of
Zeros.
No, I give them a chance.
Zeros.
No chance?
Rams fan.
I'm giving
Rams fan. Yeah, fair enough.
I'm giving them no chance.
Yeah, I reckon it'll be high scoring. Anyone take the overs here?
It is also important to consider that more than likely the Titans will be chasing this game, which means they're going to be throwing the ball anyway. So it doesn't matter about the running game.
Yeah, but when the Titans were behind, they still run it.
Yeah.
That's true. We're 3rd and 15. Give Derrick the ball.
Like the Browns. The Browns will be down by 12, and they will give it to Chubb because that is the best thing they can do on offense.
Yeah.
Hey, on the topic of the Browns, they're playing the Bengals, which is a good little division matchup coming up this week. The Browns have been looking questionable, to say the least, in the last probably 3 or 4 weeks. And yeah, Baker's hurt and he didn't play one of the games, but their offense cannot roll. And maybe, as much as I want to say, maybe part of that's to do with apparently OBJ not getting thrown the ball, as OBJ Senior wants us to believe, which was a great little moment. But this looks like, and I think given the fact that the Bengals lost that questionable game to the Jets, now they turn around and they can't have any more slip-ups. They can't allow any more things like this. I think they're fired up to come out and put points on a weak Browns at the moment.
Yeah. It's gonna be an interesting division matchup. I think the Browns' defense is still too strong, so this will be Joe Burrow's big test to see if he can get past the defense, put some points on. Jamar Chase was quiet last week. Yes, he scored a touchdown against the Jets, but he didn't show that kind of, that you're the best rookie receiver in the league kind of mentality he's been having before. I just want to get back to something you were saying before. OBJ was sent home from Cleveland training. So watch this space. He could be
after the trade deadline.
Yeah, after the trade deadline. His dad posting him being open all the time. Oh my god!
Everybody hurts with REM playing.
I think it is too funny.
He did look open. I will say that he looked open.
He's too funny.
The thing I want to say about that, just to clarify, is wide receivers are typically, and I'm sure everyone can think of at least one or two thug receivers, but wide receivers typically are the prima donnas who always demand the ball. They want it in their hands. And the fact that Baker didn't hit him on every time he's open, it happens. Yeah. But just the sheer compilation of them all together, it is very funny viewing. Go and see that video.
It's too funny.
But these are the type of games when the season isn't going your way and you need to turn your fortunes around. This is it. Yeah. It's a big week for the Browns. Just as it is for Joe Burrow, someone who, using his own words, said that the Bengals boat had been turned around, that ship had been turned. Well, it's still turning. It's spinning around in the same spot because they look like the Bengals of old last week. So, massive week. One team is going to go on a schneid and the other team is going to turn their season around.
Yeah.
So
Browns to win for me. Nick Chubb to go crazy.
I'm a Baker fan, but Joe Burrow, baby.
Joe Burrow. I do love Burrow, I have to say, but Browns to win.
The final talking point that I wanted to get to is probably the most important and the saddest news of the season, which was Henry Ruggs III driving under the influence through the streets of Las Vegas, crashed his car at 150 miles, 251 kilometers an hour into the back of a vehicle, which caused basically like a fireball-style explosion. The passenger of the car he hit, a lady, has passed away, sadly. And also, the saddest news, the dog that was in the car with her, too. Henry Ruggs now immediately pretty much released by the Raiders.
What a year for the Raiders. I can see why you left this story for last, mate. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, normally you finish with the fluff piece, and I've just waited for the...
Well, everyone would have turned off.
That's fine.
The killing of the puppy, that's what did it. It sucks, man. It's obviously the first thing you need to mention, like, the victim, bro. Yeah. It sucks. But the other things that come to mind, just so fast.
Yeah.
250 kilometers. It's like he not out of a place of malice or hate, but he probably does need to go away, man. Have a look at some things because, I'm not the biggest fan of rules, but there's just, you can't be drink driving and driving at 250 kilometres and think there won't be any consequences, and a massive consequence, man. Yeah. You've taken someone's life. So
2 to 3 times over the legal limit as well, and that was also only after having gone to the hospital to check up on his minor injuries first, so he's probably more over at the time. Also had a loaded weapon in the car, so this is like, it's felony central.
Was he in Texas when this happened?
No,
it was
Vegas.
In
Vegas.
Nevada,
Sorry.
In these sort of things is as bad, especially drink driving rules. So looking at a few,
2 to 20.
At least one, probably 2 felony charges, which will carry 2 to 20 plus, they're saying now. You can't, whatever happens, you can't really say that it's undeserved, right? This is such a clear incident of something happening where it's just a shocking story. No one wants to see something like this happen. And at the moment, I think it's still too raw to get too much comment, but basically that's the story of what's happened. The Raiders will be without Ruggs
Yeah.
for the foreseeable future.
Well, he's been released as well, so basically for a while. And also, what part we left out as well, his partner was in the front seat and is like still seriously injured, so it's all pretty.
Yeah, you wouldn't wish it on your
Yeah.
worst enemy. Not any of it, mate.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, it's yeah. I don't think we'll be seeing him in the
Ever.
league.
Not
Yeah,
in the
I
league.
don't
He won't
think so,
play NFL anymore.
Yeah, and it's a shame because it just shows that like kind of one bad decision, and this is probably a couple of bad decisions.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, we'll let the Raiders play a couple of games before we talk about what their season
Yeah.
outcome will look like, I think.
I think that's fair. And I think on that note, covered a lot today.
Cheers,
Jen.
Chris.
Yeah.
Sorry I brought the mood down
Yeah,
just
that's
a little
all good.
bit,
It's
but
okay,
I'm sure
mate. It
everyone
was
else
news.
who
It
stuck
was
through
news.
this. Ted and Hugo, pleasure having you
Thanks,
guys
it's
with
good.
me. And thanks a lot to everyone who listens. See you next week.
Thanks, brother.